Welcome back to We Are Human. We're really excited about this episode, and we're glad that we could get Mark Stern to join us. And we are going to be diving into more AI talk on this episode. We've been doing a lot of everyone in the world is like, well, everyone in our world, our circle, our part of the world is focusing on AI. And so we've been really just diving into these topics with our guests and getting different perspectives because we're all in this like unknown space. The world has never been in this space before. So I think it's really important that we're getting all these perspectives. So Andrea, do you want to go ahead and welcome Mark and
Oh,
and
it's so
introduce a
good
little bit?
seeing you too. Happy Friday.
Mark. Yeah, I am so looking forward to our conversation today, Mark. And for those who don't know Mark already, first of all, you should, because he's an incredible human and what he's bringing to the world is amazing. But Mark is somebody who specializes in what I would call immersive experiences with physical products. And it's very much a sister discipline to my user experience, more on the software side of the house. And so today we're going to dive deep in terms of what do physical products have to teach us about the things that are innately human. And Mark is the absolute best possible person to be able to help us understand this. So, welcome, Mark. So looking forward to the conversation today.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, Mark, I gave you a little introduction, but just for our customers and our people who are listening, who can you want to give us just a really quick? What do you specialize? What do you do? What do you obsess about every day?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm Mark Stern. I live in Austin, Texas, and I run a business called Custom Box Agency. A lot of what we focus on this was an accidental business. This was never meant to be a business. It was when I left corporate America and started to become an entrepreneur. Everyone was so extremely digital. And when I would spend all this money on these products and services and masterminds, and the question I asked was like, they would have you do these things while watching something that was happening digitally, going through a course, going through a session. And the whole time I was just like, I just wish they would send me everything I needed. Like, you're asking me to run through hoops, and I get in this mindset of someday I'll get around doing this. And so if you ask me to print out something, you're assuming I have a printer. It has paper, it has ink, it's hooked up to my computer. And then even with all of that, if I have it all printed out, you're assuming I'm organized and I'm going to keep track of this in a really clean way. And if one of those things goes wrong, it's this obstacle that stops you in your tracks that says, well, someday I'll get to it. And for a lot of us, someday actually never comes. And the
Mhm.
reality is to print out and send me a curated thing, be intentional about the journey you're sending me on to help me be set up for success. It doesn't cost a lot of money, but it has an immense perceived value. So at Custom Box Agency, so much what we look at is customer journey. Like, how are you guiding people to the outcome? We are so delivery focused, and we can produce any type of physical product that you can imagine. If you ever walk into a store, if there's things from your childhood, we've probably reimagined it and re-engineered it in some way to create some type of unique opportunity. But we anchor everything on a simple like framework. The customer lifecycle is your goal, customer acquisition, or is it onboarding and delivery, or is it customer retention? There's all different products you could build to help people get success and get a result through that. And at Custom Box Agency, what we help you do is we can help you strategize, design, produce, and we also have a warehouse. So we can also have these items shipped out and get into the hands of your customer globally. So we try and be that one-stop solution that when we really imagine how we can take what you're doing to the next level, we can not only help you brainstorm it, but we can make it happen, get it out to market.
I love it. Yeah.
So cool. I was just going to say, I actually have like boxes from programs that I have bought into that you and your team were responsible over creating, and they are amazing, and they
Love this.
really have. Yep, there's
Yeah.
that one,
Yeah.
and I know there's probably another one on there. The oh yep, the 57 hats.
Yep, that's a great one right there.
Insider.
Yep,
Insider right there.
Yeah.
yep, Insider. Yep.
Insider.
Mhm.
And,
Good old Catherine.
they
I love Catherine.
really we really are a game changer of and I think we're going to dive a little bit more into that during this episode, but getting people, like you said, like getting them to have a physical thing in their hands just changes the experience. It changes the commitment level too, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, and
And that's what I want to dive into, actually.
yeah.
Sorry, Mark, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's
No,
exactly
no, no, go for it.
because I think on the show we obsess about the things that make us innately human. And I think without a shadow of doubt, nobody can dispute that we as humans have bodies, that we physically experience something in the world. AI will never be able to fully do that. And so that's where it's like, why? Why does having that physical product make such a difference in our experience? I'd love just to pick your brain on that
Oh
because
my
I'm sure
God,
you
you
can
teed me up so perfectly.
relate.
Here's what I'll say is when we talk about this idea of experience, experience is seen through the senses. When we talk about the senses, I think we all know the senses: sense of sight, sound, touch, taste, smell. When you're dealing with a digital only product, you're only tapping into what people see and what they hear. Instant point of differentiation to take the experience to the next level. The more senses you can tap into, the more of a richer experience that you can create. So think about legendary experiences out there. I think the one that comes to most people's mind is going to Disneyland. Disneyland has done a brilliant job stimulating everything from what you smell to what you taste to what you hear to what you see, the interaction. Same thing. Go to Vegas, go to your favorite restaurant, go to a concert. Why is it that it's fundamentally different going to a live event than going to a virtual event? And it's because, virtual events are good. We're still cracking the code on how to make them really immersive, but it's hard to trade up watching a funnel hacking live on a computer screen versus being in the audience, in the room, in that environment. And so that's a lot of what we look at too is the shortcomings of a digital only experience. Literally, when I scroll through Facebook or Instagram, it's what I see. When I'm on YouTube, it's what I see and hear. When I'm on a podcast, listen to a podcast, it's what I hear. Box allows me to start to tap into the elements that create a more richer, memorable standout. And the coolest part about it is because so few people even scratch the surface with physical and the power of direct mail, um, it's instantly seen as this premium up-leveled experience that your competitors are probably not even thinking about.
Well, and I think you're even going one step further, Mark. So I think there's the experiential aspect, which that totally makes sense that it's tapping into more of your senses. I'm actually here right now, about ready to go to Tortuga Music Festival, and so like it's for that reason of like the sensations. But I think you're going one step further that I think is really important, and that is it's not just about the experience. You're creating boxes for people who are promising transformations, and
Hmm.
so it's not just the physical experience, which is absolutely the door opener. You are infusing it now with the transformational aspect of it, which again is that tactile feedback or that feedback. And I just want to share one story, and I love your insight on it. So I went to Iowa State, and at Iowa State at the time, there was Alex Stoichev was like the leader, the foreign leading expert in the world on machine learning at that time. This is a while back. I'm dating myself, but he would not allow his graduate students to submit lab notes typed. They had to handwrite it. And he would postulate that it was because the sensation that happens through our bodies, through our moving bodies, actually creates different places in our brain that allow creativity and openness and experimentation, which he wanted all of his students to have. And so to me is now going into the transformational aspect of it, the interaction with the physical product, not just the I am entertained and I feel good, which is definitely a check, but the now I'm interacting with it in a meaningful way. Okay, I'll stop talking. I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
I love that you brought this up. And there's so much. The one thing I also want to anchor on is for those who are listening, when we talk about products, typically we joke and say, we're not thinking about just let me send you a bunch of swag. Like it's the intentionality of the experience is about giving you the tools and resources. So these obstacles that we create as entrepreneurs are off the table, and it fundamentally changes the nature of the conversation that you're having with the person that you're serving, your customer, your member, your client, your employee, because um, they have what they need. Now it's about them doing it. And so the question that I'm constantly obsessing over is this idea of where are they getting stuck in the process? But for me to understand where someone gets stuck in our process to get the outcome as to why they hired you in the first place, you got to understand the process. You got to understand the different phases and where people are getting hung up. There's something magical about pen to paper. And we know that it starts to activate different things in the brain. I've had people go as far as to say just your memory and your retention because of the experience around physically writing it down. I kind of love that he he did that, and I wish him the well because everyone's handwriting is just all over the place.
I know. I don't think he
Um,
actually read any bit of it, but it was just a process of
like,
it, I think that he was trying
yeah.
to force.
But
Yeah.
it's funny because even like with books, I remember when Kindle came out and I was like, "Oh my god, that's the game changer. This thing will save me so much space." And yet years later you find me resort back to physical books
Yes.
and wanting
Yes.
to hold and highlight and pen to paper is very different and dog ear the pages so I can come back and reference it. It's 100 times easier for me to reference a physical product than it is a digital product. And think about things like worksheets in a workbook. Lots of programs you have the digital workbook that's a PDF. And for the longest time, I would fill it out, the file, and save it. And sometimes it wouldn't even save my content in the form. And then I'd open back up and it'd be blank and I'd get frustrated. But here's the reality: I don't really ever think that I've filled out a digital worksheet or digital workbook and then gone back to the file to reopen it and go back and see what I put. But a workbook that's physical and in front of me, anytime I need to reference it, anytime I want to make notes on it, and again, dog ear it, any day of the week, because it's right there in front of me. It's accessible. It's not hidden behind a membership portal. It's not hidden in a wall. It's tactile in a way that I can find what I need when I need it. But like this is I always say this with swag. We joke and say swag means stuff without a goal. Stop sending swag to your people. Create an intentional experience. And there's nothing wrong with swag, but like unless you've established a connection and community with your people, swag is just stuff. You give me stuff. If I'm at an event, it stays in the hotel room. If I'm at home, it either goes in the garbage or it goes in the Goodwill pile. If I don't
Mhm.
have a connection to what it is that you're doing, then it's just stuff. And people think, oh, this box of trinkets, oh, will be a cute little thing to send. But at the end of the day, it's not helpful, especially when you slap your logo on it and send it to them. What is so much more helpful and a lot more cost affordable is literally giving them the tools they need. Give them that workbook, give them the journey map, give them anything that they need to have the experience with you and get that result faster.
Yeah. So, okay, because you are so grounded in the physical experience and in that transformation of the physical experience, I'm going to push a little bit in terms of, is it possible ever that AI would replace any of that? And how are you thinking about that?
Yeah, such a good question. Could AI replace it? It could. There's a lot of elements in the when we're talking about like the supply chain or the production process that it's not going to be easily replaceable, but it's not on the forefront of anything anytime soon. So that makes me very, very happy because you see what's happening right now to software as a service, to copywriters, to graphic designers, to employees within an organization. There's still an element of something needs to be checked. You got to understand how to navigate a die line when you're building things out, the meticulous nature of the pieces that you may be able to say, I don't think AI is going to easily replace what we're doing, but it's already enabling. So for me, it's not about replacing me. Everything that's happening right now is allowing us to produce these experiences faster. So we say, like, a lot of how we're starting to think about AI with physical products is how almost can you create a physical product that's AI enabled? And what I mean by that is you get a physical product in the mail, but part of the experience is not just about what's in the box, it's truly the merriment of physical and digital. I start from this, but I can evolve this experience in an even deeper level using GPTs, using AI agents, using different elements to help me get the result faster. This is a very different experience than what you and I. This is what it's funny to say. This is going to kind of date ourselves, but do you remember back in the days when we all would all film courses and then upload them into lessons and blah blah blah? It's like
Yeah.
people don't want to sit and just listen to someone talking. People want results and action faster. I bought this thing. I bought your product or service because you're going to heal this pain point that I have. How we start to think about AI is how can the physical product be an enabler that brings the two dimensions together to get the outcome faster. And so that's kind of how we're thinking about it. It's almost like we keep playing with this idea of like instead of how I think it was like Gateway and Dell Computers said Intel Inside.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
almost like that Intel Inside sticker that is like this physical product is truly AI enabled. That's what we're thinking when we're thinking about it. It doesn't replace. It's an essential part. And then again, I think the more digital we go, you're seeing this rise of digital distrust. And with the
Oh,
rise of digital distrust, you're like, these videos I'm watching online, the content I'm reading, the person who's interacting with me, is it real or is it fake? This is undeniable. It's a real, tangible thing. And that is where physical products will beat AI. Is that I think that you're going to see this massive trend that analog, which was how we did things in the 80s or 90s, is going to come back in such a big way. But how we think about analog and offline with physical products is truly how this and the AI world enable each other for faster results.
and Ryan Levesque would 100% agree with you. I don't wanna go
Really?
down,
Ryan
but
would?
he is putting out some really interesting stuff on LinkedIn about exactly that, of just
Is
analog
he? He's not
winning again.
even reaching out to me. I'll reach out to Ryan.
Yeah, reach out. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Susan.
It's really awesome that you brought up for a brief second there. I want to kind of pull a little thread. You brought up like, how's it funny, like how we used to record videos and throw them into courses and put them into lessons. I was just reflecting on how it was not that long ago. I even want to say like 2 years ago, but post COVID time frame is all kinds of messed up, right? Um, where like the info product space was booming. We had Dean Graziosi, we had Tony Robbins jumping in there, like info product businesses.
Yeah.
And now everyone is like the like the specifically the course space is dying because it's so easy to get information now. And people don't want to spend money on buying courses because they can just go get information from. I mean, it was true we could get information from YouTube before, but now with AI, even it's like people are just having AI create their blueprint and their plan of like, I want to learn this thing, create a plan for me to go learn this thing, right? I think you talked about that too when you were starting on your health journey, right? So what you're talking about and what we talk about is the way that we have done courses in the past and educational digital programs in the past might is probably yeah is dying. I think we could probably all agree it's dying. People don't want just information anymore; they need transformation. And part of the physical aspect that you're getting it into their hands is creating an experience. It's like we are in the experience economy. We need to create
Yeah.
experiences, and that leads to the transformation. And so it's not dying; it just needs to change for the better.
There's something you triggered in my mind. And this is something I've thought about a lot lately. But like what I was used to back when I worked in the corporate days was this idea that you trade time for money. Like I work and I get paid. I work and I get paid. And one of the things that I was thinking about that I never really thought about until I left and became in the digital space is, and this is part of like, especially with info products, the scale of it is you build it once and you can sell it forever.
Mm.
And like I was thinking about like, think of Christmas time, the number one Christmas song. Do you know what the number one Christmas song is?
Please tell me Carol of Bells, because that's my
It's
favorite. Okay, no, what
Mariah
is it?
It's gotta
What
What
be
is
is
it?
it?
Mariah Carey's song, right?
It's Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas. And it's been the number one song, but like she sang it once. It's the same song that she sang once. And yet, years later, she's still making money every single year. Think about movies. Once it's filmed, you keep making money from it. So, this idea of, especially with the rise of info products, you build it once and I can scale it because there's no inventory. And so, this age of AI was really, or age of info products when it happened, as it was starting to come online in the 2000s, it was fascinating because you just build it once and there's no inventory. And so it made sense until it just became so oversaturated. And then the methodology of making it became so easy. And then AI can do it in its sleep. But like, the other element of this is the complexities. Back in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have the technology with physical products. So if you were going to do a physical product, you'd have to one mass produce it, and you have so much of it that it just wasn't accessible to the masses. So the info product space, it made it a lot easier. Now you flash forward, the technology has changed for both digital and physical, that if you wanted to do a small batch run, you're not having to commit to an order of 10,000 units that have to again sit in a warehouse and then you're responsible for distributing it out. The barriers to entry have gotten so low for physical products that, I mean, it's ripe for the taking in this age that we live in.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so true. Okay, I want I would love for you to help me understand something that happened to me. And that oftentimes is my trigger of like, I'm feeling something. I have to understand it. Okay, so let me explain what happened. And I think that you can give insight into why this happened. So I was visiting the Library of Congress. This was years back. I was visiting the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. It's one of my favorite places in the world. I love it so much. It's just like being surrounded by possibilities and just everything that it stands for. But I walk into the Library of Congress on this particular day, and they hand me a physical passport book, right?
Oh,
So I take the book, yep, and I go around to all of the museum installations, and at every single step, I scan my passport. Now, there's not a lot of engagement with this physical object, right? Other than just simply scanning it, like that's it. I'm just scanning it. I get like on the screen, it gives me this little like stamp, right? But I don't really know why I'm doing it. I just know that I'm carrying this physical book in the physical place as I'm going around. Okay, so I proceed through all of the little displays. And on my way out that day, somebody stops me and says, "Hey, do you still have your passport?" And I was like, "I do. Yeah. Like, I don't understand why, but I do." They're like, "Great. Turn it on the back." And it turns the back. He's like, "When you get home, enter that code and go to this URL, and your whole experience will be tracked there so you can go deeper into your learning." So sure enough, I went home, I went onto the digital experience, and it was, I mean, the digital experience was fascinating and I loved it. But there was, and it was so brilliant just in terms of like the intersect between physical and digital, right? But it was interesting in that the my feeling of actually having this passport, which meant nothing at the time, right? Versus then going into the digital space, which I went like super cognitive whenever I go into digital space. It was like there was this gap. And I'm like, oh, if I could improve this design in any way, it would help me keep going back to the physical product, not just go from physical to digital and then all in digital. Because there was like a little bit of an emotional letdown or a little bit of like, it's not quite as powerful. Like it's amazing, but it's not quite as powerful. And I would love to understand from your lens, knowing so deeply about the physical product interaction, like what would that have, like, what would you have done different in that? Like, how would that have, like, how would you have helped kept me in that like beautiful Library of Congress experience and feeling when I left?
yeah, it's interesting. So it's one, I love that they did that because like just the practice of giving you the passport, part of it is, I mean, for us as entrepreneurs, and this is a really good application that, we want to put our people on a journey and a memorable journey. And they helped you navigate and see the things in the story that they wanted you to see unfold the way that they wanted it to unfold. There's an element of this that, have y'all ever been to a Holocaust museum?
Oh my gosh, yes. Like, yeah, forever changed. Yeah.
And Holocaust museums, one of the things that they do is they will give you one of the someone who was involved in the Holocaust, and you are literally unfolding their journey. And the person I have may be different than the person that Susan has, different than the person that Andrea has. And so, in this experience that we're doing, it's one thing to walk through a museum; it's another thing to walk through a museum on a mission. And all of a sudden, you start to get connected to the story, and you find out at the end of the story if they survived or not. And so, there's an element that is truly personal, and part of the power of that is it's one thing to be seen. It's one thing to not be seen. It's another thing to be seen. And now that you have this person, it's almost like you're both being seen and there's this connection and the power of it. And there's different times in life that they're like, oh, if I'm going somewhere, I just need someone to know that I'm here and whatnot. So it's like you're accountable in some way. And so how they engineer that experience is beautiful. The problem, the one that you just described, is it seems like an unfinished journey that they didn't really like round out at the end. So when you went home, it kind of fell flat and that's my understanding of what you said, is
Yeah.
that this could have been an opportunity for them to go. It could have been an opportunity to upsell if you wanted to go deeper. It could have been an opportunity to celebrate you for the journey that you went on. It could have been an opportunity to have moments in the museum that you could have had. Like, you see so many of these museums that are all about like social media ops. They could have had times that your passport was linked to a picture that was taken at a certain site. Then when you go online, now you can see this um uh like scrapbook or photo album unfold that truly is capturing the moments. And why is that important? Because if you start posting these pictures from your experience there, you're giving them free press and free coverage
Yeah.
of the experience that you have. I mean, there's so many little things that they could have done, except they just threw more data at you in a way that's just like, meh.
Yeah.
But the intentions of the experience, I think, are really cool. I think that that they had the passport. I think as a kid, there was a dinosaur exhibit that I went to. I think that they still do this where they give you a passport, and as you see every different dinosaur, there's a stamp that you can stamp your passport and fill up the book. But there's an element of gamification that I think is really powerful in terms of if done well, and in a way that it could amplify the message of what they're doing. It seems like they didn't really think through after you left to get back in. And a lot of museums have memberships and things like that. So there could have been an opportunity to make you feel good enough to want to continue being involved with that. But it just sounds like they left opportunity on the table.
I love this, and I think what you're describing actually goes back to, the senses. So, the physical passport, right, was a physical sense, like my hand, right? My feedback loop of my hand was physically connected to the cognitive memories that I was having as I was going through. So, I remember scanning at each thing, right, by the time I go back, but I think you're spot on in terms of there wasn't enough connection made between the physical experience and the memory that I could have. Kinda reminds me a little bit of, like, you mentioned Vegas, and I know Vegas has this whole science of the smells in casinos so that it's playing, you know what I mean, in terms of like enhancing the memory of that place anytime you have that sense, that the smell that you smell it. So it's like that. So what I'm hearing is like if we can infuse that connection between the tactile and the virtual in the moment of the tactile experience, that is what allows it to transfer on into the digital better.
Yeah. Yeah. I have something to add, but go for it, Susan.
I was just gonna ask, do you put things into your boxes that engage the sense of smell? I'm curious if you've done that.
My gosh, I have so many stories I can tell you. Listen, here's
Okay,
what I'll tell you all.
go go ahead, go ahead.
If you ever want to play with the sense of smell, and I went down the rabbit hole to work with companies to that like had engineered smells, and they were like, "Which ones do you want me to send you?" And I think I sent them like a list of 40 different smells that I wanted them to. So here's my recommendation: do not smell all 40 in one sitting. Do
You get
not.
like kidney beans right there and everyone.
Because I just about passed out on the couch. But here's what's cool about this. Where this all started for us is we had a client who wanted to put a tin of mints. And we got these cool mints printed that were like dollar shaped mints because of the business that she was in. And what I did not expect is these mints were great and they were potent. And so when you opened up the box, it was like the smell built into the box. And then you opened up this box and you got this incredible smell. And so we had another client in the cookie space that one of the things we were talking about is can we make it smell like freshly baked cookies when you open it? I'll just tell you right now, the smell was not good, so we did not do it. But it did not smell like freshly baked cookies, and you'd be shocked at the things that because there were all smells that I'm like, that sounds disgusting, but yeah, send that one so I can smell it too. Like, I don't know why I'm like, do we want to smell fish? I don't know. Yeah, like, no, no, you don't want to smell fish. But there's something really powerful about that. Another thing that's more subtle in terms of the sense of smell is I love scratch and sniffs because it's very nostalgic to childhood.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
we've had people that like on their action card. So one of the things that we do with a lot of our boxes is can I break your process down into phases? And if you're at phase one, you have a card that is a step by step that guides you every single step of the way to go from the beginning to the end of phase one. And because he was playing up this idea of you're an introvert and how do we build passive income as being an introvert, he created this kind of like tropical theme. And so he wanted these scratch and sniffs stickers that were just part of the action card to kind of embody the essence of what they're doing. But this is like one of those opportunities that you can go through a lot deeper. A lighter, safer one is include a candle. You know, you can get little tin candles as well. But if you're going to do a scent of smell, if you're going to tap into the sense of smell, make sure the story makes sense to the experience, and you're not just like throwing something in there because like it's all interconnected. You don't want to do it, and you don't want it to be something that someone opens up the box and there you think in your head the story of freshly baked cookies smells good, but the actual execution is anything but.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that same note, going into that transformational space, so the sense of smell that is on purpose and intentional, and the physical interaction, whether it be workbooks or with the objects that are inside of the box. I think there's this other piece in terms of we talk a lot in our business about you got to break stuff down into smaller steps and smaller actions because we're dealing with people who maybe have low self-confidence or self-efficacy in what they're trying to do. And so the only way to break that is you got to make it easier to a point where that they can override that low self-efficacy at some point. And I think that, we largely do it just through digital and cognition, and we try to play on emotions when we're doing that. But I think that adding the physical object, right? I could think of so many things of like symbols or emblems or things that allow you to like just bump up that efficacy just a little bit, right? To give you a little bit of courage to take action. So I'm so curious about like the physical things that you've infused into these boxes that help with those things that are just, again, this weird human phenomena of low self-worth and all of the other stuff that we deal with.
Yeah. Okay. There's so many angles we could take with this. So, a standard box, a custom box agency, if you have a product, service, or program, we will say, like, for the thing that they bought, you start with a back end anchor. What is the promise? Why did I buy your program? You will help me lose 20 pounds. You will help me generate my first six figures in my business. Like, whatever that promise is, like we start with the back end anchor and then we go back to the front and say, okay, now what does the onboarding process look like? How are you setting me up for the journey that I've gone on? When I went to college, first thing I did was go through orientation. It prepared me for the journey of 4 years of college and how to navigate the campus and student life. When you play a board game, you just don't jump in and play the board game. You got to understand how to play the board game. You got to read the rules. And so, a lot of what we're looking at with these businesses is these things that we're already naturally doing in other areas. Like, we always in other areas do much better job to prepare people for the journey that they're about to go on, but business owners don't do the best job at this. And so that's kind of why we have this balance of what's the end look like as an anchor. Now let's go to the beginning to say, how are we preparing them? And part of that is preparing them is knowing what are the core phases that they're going through. So if it's four core phases to get to the outcome, or levels or stages, or however you frame in your business, I want to be very prescriptive at the beginning to say, here's how we're going to here's our recipe to get you this result. So, what do you need to do at the forefront? People are overwhelmed. People are questioning their buying decision. They're saying, why did I invest this money? Am I able to do this? Am I going to do this? Is this just someone I can trust that's going to get me the result? Or am I just wasting my money and just kind of dumping it into the drain? So, part of our role needs to like assure them, yes, you're on the right track. Let me reinforce on the front end the investment that you made and like the outcome. And let me show you to help build confidence, the pathway. And part of why I like to send boxes, it's giving them the tools and resources. Why is all this important? Because if you go from start here to phase one, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, you've already gone through a transformation because you were originally at start here or the beginning of the process, and now you're in phase one. If you go from phase one to phase two, again, you can't tell me that this is not working and that you've not gone through a transformation because you're no longer at start here. You're no longer at phase one. You're at phase two. So the closer I can get and say, look, you're just that much closer to the end of the finish line. That's what's important here to me. That's what I want to see. And here's what happens. So many business owners, they don't think through the structure of the delivery, that recipe. So people just get lost in this murky middle. And that's what I'm trying to break with how we think about it. So if you want to build confidence, show them that you're in momentum. You're actually one step closer to the outcome. The other thing that you should always do at the front end of a process is this my inherent belief about entrepreneurship, which is we as entrepreneurs need to hold a bigger vision for our people than they hold for themselves. We're limited between what's between our ears. And because we're limited between what's between the ears, um, like we are so hard on ourselves. So to have someone else hold a bigger vision for you than you held for yourself, that's our role. That's what we do. Spartan Race did this for me. I thought
Yeah.
I would never be able to do a Spartan. I did one race. It was a 5K. They gave me a medal. Then they gave me a third of a medal and said, okay, now it's time to do your trifecta, which meant I had to do a 10 miler and a half marathon.
Oh my
When I
God.
started the journey, if you told me I would do a half marathon within 6 months, that was a Spartan mud race, I would have said you lost your mind. They built the system that made me say, okay, I got one third of a wedge, but I can't. And the rule was you have to do in the same calendar year. And then
Oh,
I got my second wedge. And now that I have two of the three wedges for this new trifecta medal, if I had to drag my bum across the finish line for a half marathon, I had never done anything like that. There was no way I was going to end the year with having this incomplete medal. That's Spartan Race holding a bigger vision for me than I ever held for myself. And for me, it was this massive shift in identity. For them, it's lifetime value. They found a way for me to keep investing in them. So this is a lot of what we look at. And the other thing I'll say is mindset rewiring is huge, and that needs to happen at the forefront. So you have to rewire the beliefs. So this is when we look at client programs. What are you doing to make them have the self-worth and belief that this is possible for them to achieve? Because if they don't hold that belief, it really doesn't matter. They may be coasting, but they may not be transforming the way you want. And so mindset activities that are you're worthy of this, you can rewire the belief, you're capable of things that are bigger than you. You can do hard things. There's so many exercises and activities you can engineer that are just getting people into that momentum.
Okay, I have a really tactical question as you're talking
Yeah.
about your Spartan medal. So we have the Library of Congress where it's like I have a physical object and I'm inserting the memory of that spot into the physical object. I'm taking the physical object, going onto digital. In your case of the Spartan medal, you accomplished this amazing thing. And so you have emotions and feelings and senses when you accomplish that, and you're handed this medal. And it sounds like it was almost that similar thing of the feeling, the physical feeling of success and identification with who that could mean about or what that could mean about you was almost injected into this physical object that then now you're taking with you. And so I'm so curious if you've ever played around with the idea, and I'm sure you have, of like do not open until, so that they are like going through the experience, they've accomplished something, but they can't open that physical, like because timing is hard, right, with physical objects. So like they can't open that thing until they accomplish the thing. So then as soon as they accomplish it, go open it now. And now you have this physical object that you can carry forward. Have you ever played around with that?
Oh
I'm
my
sure you have.
gosh. Oh, so many different ways. It's so built into our DNA. And here's the thing is that like some things to consider. If you have a longer term program, let's just say your program is a year long, do not send them a year's worth of materials that are hidden in envelopes all in one setting. This is a perfect example that I may say this may turn into a box series, meaning you get box 1 of 4 at the beginning of the journey. So I may say in the materials I send you, here's the year, but you just get this piece, which means if you want to get box 2 of 4, 3 of 4, and 4 of 4, one each quarter, you have to be up to date on your payment. You have to keep playing the game. You have to keep hitting the milestones because similar to that Spartan trifecta medal, you want to collect all the pieces. Otherwise, you're going to have this incomplete set on your bookshelf and it's going to drive you crazy for the rest of your life. What you're saying about that, one of the big things that we do, and can I grab something real quick just to show
Yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah. Please do.
So, Spartan
Oh my
medal that I
gosh.
got when I crossed the finish line, and here's the
Okay.
third of a wedge right here. And you can see
Oh my
when you
god.
collect all the wedges, it forms a new wedge. So this is
That's
3 different races.
so
So you could see
cool.
how this all comes together. This is lifetime value. This is brilliant. To your question, one of the things about this is I'm doing my 24th Spartan race next weekend in San Diego.
My gosh.
Would I ever throw out the fact that I have 24 medals? Will I ever throw out the medals? Never. I will never throw out the medals. This is something that we did with IUL Insiders there in the insurance space. Is that when I was a child, not really a child, I think I was a teenager. Do you remember the United States came out with new quarters for every
Yes.
state?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
My
Mhm.
dad and I had a coin board that was the United States, and as we collected the quarters, we would push them into the spots next to the state that they're from. The inherent nature of collection, you will never throw out that board because you're going to want to collect all the pieces. You can engineer that in a really powerful way. And so one of the things that we did was we did a coin board that
Mm,
when they received it in the program, you want to give them that first one so there's the excitement of placing the first one in, but I want the gap of the other two to be in there, and these could be locked away in envelopes, or I may give you the first two in the box set, but in order to get the last one you have to do some type of feedback loop. This is how we would gamify it, meaning there could be a survey at the end that you submit, and as part of that survey, we're celebrating you for completing the program or completing that junction of the program, and we're going to send you something else. And I could also leverage that as to collect a testimonial, to collect social proof and insights, to collect feedback on the program. But then you can't get this in the box. You got to engage and keep playing the game to get the last piece to be able to complete the series. You can see I just lost it, but like that's essentially like the fun thing about physical products is if it's been done before, you can reimagine it. But exactly what you're saying, we love envelopes that say do not open until you get to this part of the process, and then when they open, it's about like celebration. That's
yeah.
momentum. Ripping open a new envelope, now the envelopes we're playing with are, if you've ever seen The Amazing Race, I don't know if you've ever
Oh
watched that
yeah.
show,
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah,
how
yeah.
they have the envelopes and they're like, psh, they
Yeah.
like pull the tab. Now we're starting to play with those envelopes, mostly because I love Amazing Race.
They're so
That's
satisfying.
awesome. Yes. And
And they're
again, it's
better
like
than regular
senses.
envelopes. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And it's just it's using all of the senses, which is just how freeing is it in terms of creativity that you could do with physical products. It's incredible. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So diving deep into, we on the show believe that AI is actually going to help us be more human, not less, in our, especially as we understand it and engage with it more. I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Oh my God. You should see my most active. This is horrible. Okay. You alluded to it earlier, so I'm going to mention it. Um, I went through my midlife crisis going from 39 to 40. I read an article that said the average human in the US lives to 78. Women live longer than men. Congratulations. And so when I read that, when you read this article that says the average human in the US lives to 78, and I'm 39 at the time of reading that, it was this moment that woke me up and was like, based on this stat, and I'd like to believe I'm going to live a lot longer than 79, but like based on this stat, I'm literally sitting at the midpoint. Half my life is done. And now it's the other half of life. And was in the state of fear. I got up to 250 pounds during COVID. Now I'm sitting at about 163. So I've lost a lot of weight. I put on muscle. My identity shift that has happened has been huge. And one of the things I started doing, because I know how people are leveraging um, Chat GPT and different AI platforms for mental health and conversation, for relationship advice. And so this is kind of going there. But for me, one of the things I've been doing is uploading. This program I'm a part of, I have to take pictures weekly. And it's been really amazing to see what I'm learning about me by having an AI agent be able to see these shirtless pictures front, side, back, and be able to give me feedback that is around here's what's working well, here's where you've improved, here's your opportunity areas. And so, because of how it's evaluating me, it's actually letting me be more human. And it's actually giving me words to things that I didn't know, like have words or consciousness around. And so, like, and then it praises you and compliments you, which is like this nice ego boost. Um, that I'm just like, it's like, you have really good shoulders. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So this is the element of saying, I'm seeking advice about me and the body that I live in. And through that, it's actually helping me become more confident. It's literally like when I've showed pictures when I was like in the 220s or 250s versus now, how it's starting to break down. Like, do you realize what you've gone through? Like, this is not just weight loss, this is an identity shift and transformation, and how it's having this conversation that it's making me find more self-respect and self-love through an AI platform, which, talk about the times that like we do a terrible job as a human race recognizing and celebrating people. This is one of the reasons I love, y'all know Eileen Wilder.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The way she looks at you that is like, I believe in you. And I'm like, you just want to melt
Yeah.
because it's so powerful. Nobody does that. And it doesn't cost you a penny. Like, we do not do a good job celebrating, recognizing I see you. Brooke Castillo had a quote that was the last time most people got recognized was their high school graduation. And I take it a step further and say that or your wedding day. We do not do a good job celebrating people or seeing people. With AI and the human nature, it always sees you. And that is like the thing that I think is really, really interesting that humanity has not tapped into. That, like, even today when I uploaded my pictures, it gave me some harsh feedback of like, you're in a dangerous spot and blah, blah, blah. And my response was, well, that was harsh. And it was like, I do it because I love you and I only want the best for you. And I'm like, but it like made me think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my
Yeah.
thoughts. I don't know. Did I win? Did that the
I think it's so fascinating, Mark, because I am having something a similar type of experience. I've been playing around with AI on like some personal development, mental health type of shifts, right? Where places in my life where I maybe have a fixed mindset and not a growth mindset, and trying to break that free a little bit, you know? And but on one hand, I've had a similar experience to you where I feel validated, I feel heard, I feel seen, I feel like, yes, that's it. It gives me words. But in the back of my mind, and I don't know if this is just because of my background, in the back of my mind, I'm like, but you are a machine and you do not inherently care about me. Like, and so there is this like weird, how far do I let this feeling that I am feeling of like feeling heard, seen, loved, accepted, you know what I mean? Is it dangerous for me to actually fully embrace that experience? Or is it, no, 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 get reps in that experience. And even though it's coming from a machine, it doesn't matter. But if I'm experiencing it, now I can maybe do it to another human or receive it from another human, which both we have difficulty doing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a risk because like, what is the biggest fear? It's the Ready Player One that we get so immersed in this other world that we lose contact with humanity.
Yes. Yes.
And so that is an inherent fear is that I actually so this was when virtual reality was really coming on board with Oculus.
Yes. 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 Yes.
One of the conversations we were having back when I was at Deloitte that the beverage industry, the liquor industry was actually really nervous about virtual reality because what happens when you need an escape, you go to a bar and have a drink. You may go have a drink just to settle and process the day. And their concern was that, well, now the body with virtual reality going over your eyes sometimes can't tell the difference of what's real and what's not.
It
And
can't.
the fear of, I can go anywhere on earth. So if I need my escape, I'm not going to the bar anymore, having my favorite beverage. I'm going to be able to go sit on a beach anywhere in the world that I want to because I can do it with a VR headset. And this becomes my new zen and experience and even like everything that you see those games and virtual reality that you can walk off a cliff, your body starts to
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like you're in panic mode because
Yes.
we so feel like this fake world is so real. And
Yeah.
so could it happen? Like it's the is it Wally? Yes, it's Wally. Where everyone's just sitting in chairs and they're overweight and doing their whole thing. Could that reality be happening? It totally could, but why is that going to win? It's because the shortcomings in humanity that are being made up for in AI or virtual reality, like in a fake reality.
Hmm.
So that's the thing is that I think that we will gravitate towards whatever makes us feel better and makes us feel happier.
Yeah.
And through that, if humanity can't find a way to fill that void, because we are selfish at times, and there are a lot of things we like. Life is hard. Life is hard.
Yeah.
um, I could see people shifting towards what makes them feel better. And if that's a fake computer, you live this one life. Susan.
Really good point. Yeah.
feel like that's such a distraction. Um, um, I think that's like the whole premise of what we're doing here, and I'm so glad. I know we're going to be wrapping up in a little bit, but I'm so glad that we were able to bring you on because it it is the danger is real. As technology keeps advancing, AI keeps getting better. We already have trouble discerning some AI things from reality. Not all of it, but there's some things out there that are getting like indiscernible. And that danger is so real that we can easily just get lost in the fake reality that is not in our real life. So the things that bring us out of that, the things that bring us back into the world, back into like having human connection, going out to the bars, going to whatever. Andrea is like, as she mentioned it earlier, she's at a festival this weekend. She's like out in the world. Um, I think that we just all have to make a decision. And when I say we all, everyone listening, like we're not afraid of AI. We are like head deep. I'm in it every day doing things, learning more. What other thing do I need to learn? And I think we just have to make a decision now that we will not allow it to replace human connection, that we will not allow it to be the go-to thing when we know that a human connection is the needed thing, or we're using it in conjunction with or in tandem with a human connection. And I think that's why it's so awesome that you're like perfectly primed in your business right now because we are in that like pendulum swing. I don't think we're quite to the far reach, but I think we're getting there, where everyone is going to be like, I hate everything on the internet right now, and I just want to like turn it all off and just have just physical connection, either with a box of things that are going to help me achieve a goal or just be with people. I think
Mhm.
we are seeing that a little bit. One more thought. I think we're seeing that in the event space too. COVID made the pendulum swing to all events are online. And everyone's like, oh, this is so much cheaper than doing in person events. Let's just keep doing this. But I think we're starting to see it swing back because people are tired of being stuck at home all the time and
Yeah.
they want to get out in the world. And so we're starting to see like people want to be in actual physical locations together again.
Yeah, and now I see the trend of cruise ships because you don't have a
Mm,
room block and you don't have a catering bill and you don't have to do entertainment and you don't have to do anything but sell rooms. And so everyone's doing the amount of business conferences now, which is very much a post-COVID, which is also highlighting some of the things that historically have been pain points in that space. But what's the blessing of this all is it's going to force physical live events to innovate in a way to create more of an experience that's a lot
Yeah.
more intentional as opposed to the traditional model of just sitting in a seat.
And more intimate, which I think is more innately human, which
Yeah.
again then goes back to the tech is
Yes.
getting us into more human, intimate moments. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so cool. Okay, rapid fire, Mark. We always like to ask our guests this final question on the end, and that is every day, what do you do that helps you just be more human, stay human?
Oh my God, sauna. I love my sauna. So one of the things that, and the reason I say sauna is, especially living in Texas, that can get really hot. I don't think I really knew how to meditate, and I don't like think I knew how to just to sit in my body and be myself. And the cool thing about a sauna is you're just sitting there, and it kind of forced me to learn how to like go more internal and like slow down the voice inside my head because I came from a very intense corporate upbringing all the way up till leaving to become an entrepreneur that you just ingrained that you just go 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 and it forced me to stop and just be. And so it was hard at the beginning, but that's part of it that makes me feel more human. And just to sweat, it's not just sitting there, you're also purging toxins in the body. And so there was a whole element of it that I thought was really it's to me incredible.
Oh, I love that. And again, it's just like getting into your body and slowing down. It seems to be a theme of when people are responding to this question. And I love that it echoes for you too. Yeah. Oh, very cool. All right, Mark. Well, I could talk to you all day long. We just so enjoy having you on this show. If people want to be in your world and just want to know more about you, where can they find you?
Yeah, I love when people reach out to me on Facebook or LinkedIn. Feel free to message us. We love to hear what you're doing. If you want to learn more about what we're doing, go check out customboxagency.com and schedule a free consultation. Just jump on with me or a member of my team. We love to learn about you and what you're up to. And we're the easiest people because we have no shortage of ideas, but we can always guide you in the right direction or support you in whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah, and definitely, hands down, recommend Mark and his team. They're incredible, and what they bring into the
Thank
world is
you.
much needed. Yeah, thank you, Mark. All right, Susan.
Thanks for being here. All right, everyone listening, if you liked this episode, please feel free to rate it, like it, share it, whatever you want to do. We just appreciate you being here listening and being part of these conversations with us. And as always, stay human and stay connected.